Hello, I'm Molly Houlahan. I am the director of Mr. Burns, a post-electric play. How I ended up becoming a director, tale as old as time. As many people, I started off as an actor. I've always had a deep valence and love for storytelling and theater. When I got my first taste of directing in high school, actually, I was just blown away at the way that it scratched different parts of my mind that I didn't know could be scratched like that. And it was so thrilling to see the way in which you could tell a story through many different mediums. I loved the act of creating as much as the product itself, and creating a community and a home and a place for people to experiment and play and create together was a huge part of why I ended up where I am as a director. Mr. Burns, a post-electric play, is a play that takes place after the apocalypse has occurred in the United States. There has been nuclear fallout, the grid has fallen, and the play follows survivors of this event over the course of about a century. And it tracks the evolution of our pop culture and the way that pop culture turns into mythos and into mythology and stories over the course of this century. And it's really examining why it is we tell stories, why we turn to stories in our darkest times. I chose Mr. Burns as my thesis kind of for two reasons. The first of which was I read it on an Amtrak, and this was my first time on an Amtrak again after the pandemic, and I'm in my mask reading this play that is about the end of the world, and it just felt like it hit me in such an intimate way of looking at it through the lens of our current times. It really answered the question, why now, in a really strong way for me. Of this play has such relevancy to our situation of we've experienced over the last 2 years many different events in our life that have felt a lot like the apocalypse. And yet we are still watching Netflix and still watching plays and listening to music, and what is it about that feels essential? So that was kind of the first reason. And the second reason is it's just a really ambitious, strange play. It's a dark comedy, it's bizarre, it's both intimate and grand in terms of its scale, and it just felt like a really exciting push for me in terms of storytelling and style and the medium itself. I feel I am bringing my own vision to this piece in a couple ways. I think first and foremost, as a queer director, I am constantly seeking queer storytelling on stage and queering the form itself. And so that takes the shape of how I cast the play, how I'm treating the text, and how I'm treating the structure of it in terms of questioning why things move the way they do, pushing at the seams, trying to find fractures in the way that things come together, and portraying queer bodies on stage in the middle of this story. I think that was incredibly essential to me. And I think the second part is honestly, I'm just trying to be as playful as possible and to push myself as much as possible in terms of how much can I have this be a mosaic of styles. It kind of oscillates between a realism or a naturalism in terms of the language, and then it goes from there into kind of performance style and swapping in and out of that kind of elevation of performance all the way into operatic abstraction. So I think that for me it was, how do I not only saturate those styles but then actually weave them in to each other all the way through the play. And within that, I have a deep interrogation of time. I think time is kind of my access point as a director to this play. I think the biggest lesson I've learned through Mr. Burns is that directing plays is a love affair, and it takes a while to get to know a play. And I think that there are some plays that are easier to know faster. This play has not been an easy play to get to know. And so I'm still courting it. I'm still trying to understand the way it moves, the way it speaks, what makes it tick. This play specifically, Mr. Burns, has pushed me to withstand the discomfort of not knowing longer. Like, you have to stay in not understanding how this thing works, but that there's more richness in allowing there to be space for things to not be said or not be understood just yet, and let the play reveal itself to the cast and to me, as opposed to trying to push it to become something I would like it to be. I hope that audiences leave this play reflecting on the question about live art and the importance of live art. What is to be gained in sharing breath with other people and having a communal experience of art? and being in person and breathing in what is happening and letting yourself be impacted by a live event, and why it's so essential to gather as community and tell stories in the face of darkness and in the face of the end of the world. I hope that that's what people are leaving with at the end of this play. And also probably some questions of what the hell was that? It's not an easy play. It's trying to make you think, trying to push your perceptions. So I hope that it also leaves people like, woo, I just got a little like electric shock by whatever that was. I think that's the hope. Yeah. You can get your tickets today for Mr. Burns, a post-electric play at trinityrep.com/Burns. Come see it.